Alright guys, here we are with a new video. I didn't expect to want to make this video. I'm gonna react to, by the way, great thumbnail. Ego higher than fun. Like I couldn't agree more with this shit. And I like Ohdough because he says things how they are. All right, he doesn't give a shit about backlash. If something is wrong with the game, he's one of those that just says things how they are. Let's not glaze him too much, like he'd say, and get right into it.
The balance choices for enemies and weapons in many cases are ruining the fun.
So this is the video, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it play and then comment on the things he says and shows in the video, like I did with some in the past. Right? I don't do reactions that often, honestly.
Fun and fantasy and Helldivers 2. Virtual.
And this video blew up, as you can see, only 6 hours ago. Already 9,000 likes almost, and almost 80,000 views. People agree with this. People are getting tired. Players are getting tired of the developers of Helldivers 2 just going their own way and not listening to us. Anyway.
Truly everything I say will have an example to show what I'm talking about. Plenty of timestamps down below, and before we get started, I do not hate the game and I don't dislike the devs as people.
Look at the railgun here. I just noticed, like, the magazine of the railgun is invisible for some reason. I guess it's a bug.
I've met a few of them in person in Sweden. They're awesome. But
look at him on the left. Oh, I didn't know this. Oh, this is a developer, and he went right to Sweden. Holy shit!
As developers, something is going wrong, and it's getting to the point where it's indefensible. It's been going on for a year. A quick word to the valiant glazed divers out there. The devs are always asking for feedback. Don't believe me? Take their word for it. Also, check out these stickers down below in the pinned comment. All too often in the games industry, the core fantasy and what makes a weapon feel good and fun is ignored for the sake of balance. I believe players are scared of nerfs because it will ruin the fantasy of a weapon, ruin their fun. It is extra important to us to tread carefully so that we don't ruin fantasy and fun when we do nerfs. We hope you, our players, will tell us when we
If we ignore what he's reading just for a moment, you just saw a clip. This is a very old clip, by the way, probably from when the railgun was busted back in the day due to the PS5 bug. As you can see, he's on difficulty 9, and like, let's go back a little.
Fun is give a weapon, ruin their fun.
Like
it is
here, he charges up the shot to like what is it, 70%, instant kills a Bile Titan. This I like the railgun being able to one-shot Bile Titans, but it has to be a this is the railgun specifically. In this case, it should be a risk-reward situation. Like I'd say a one-shot to the head of a Bile Titan is pretty fair if you at least charge at least to 90% plus. I'm not saying 99% each time, because then you risk of dying, and that feels annoying, and it's probably why most people don't really enjoy playing the railgun. If you want to see more balanced suggestions like this, you can go watch my video. I'm gonna put a link probably somewhere around here. Anyway, he's reading this text here at the bottom. Let's wait for him to finish.
It's extra important to us to tread carefully so that we don't ruin fantasy and fun when we do nerfs. We hope you, our players, will tell us when we cross that line inadvertently. Those words were written by Patrick Lesota, the design director and the person in charge of how Arrowhead takes feedback and balances the game, on March 25th, 2024. Maybe the devs are being sincere in saying they don't want to ruin fun and fantasy, but the issue is that they are doing just that. They're focused.
He's right. They are doing just that. It's not really about players are scared of nerfs. It's yeah, a nerf is a nerf, but we are not scared about it. Like, and by the way, we have told you so many times that you have crossed the line, and you had to and to go back. To go back to your steps, you had to get so much fucking backlash. You had to nerf to destroy the Raptor, to destroy the railgun, the breaker, the not the supply pack, the shield backpack. So many things nerfed. Like it was unbearable at one point. All right, like so many weapons were so much garbage. It was, and like there was like no variety. Okay, like like they nerfed the railgun because everyone was using the railgun. Because sure, it was good against bots, since bots are very well designed as a faction. They have weak spots and they reward precision. And the railgun was nerfed, as we said earlier, because of the PS5 bug that caused it to insta-kill Bile Titans. But everyone was using it mostly for that reason, okay? But it's not that the problem. The problem is the railgun was much better than like what other things could offer, like the spear, which at the time was not working at fucking all. It could not lock on two enemies, and when you did get a lock on, you couldn't even insta kill a Hulk. Like you had to hit the visor to kill a Hulk with like the most late game missile launcher you fucking unlock that only has 4 shots spare. Okay, like that just doesn't make any sense. Like, of course, people are gonna use. It's called meta because people use what's like easier to use, and and it brings the most results with the least effort. But there's people that enjoy variety, enjoy when a weapon takes skill or when a weapon is unique. See the airburst rocket launcher, the variable machine gun, or whatever the fuck that is. Okay, it's like a fucking hybrid weapon. But see what I mean?
Focus on grunt fantasy has led to so many things that are super niche and otherwise fun being removed, and for no good reason. We had the ability to land on high ground, which makes sense, taken away from us, and that led to a year-long issue that still happens today, where you can't steer your hellpod because a structure is seen as too tall.
Absolutely. Like they said that they removed this feature of steering or actually landing on top of tall buildings to prevent soft locks. But like no, like if I want to land on top of a tall building or whatever, a fucking mountain, whatever, it's because I wanted to go there. If by any chance it happens that I by mistake go there, I'll just fucking try to go down. I'll dive down and pop a steam. I'll probably die to full damage or not, but it's fucking my choice. It's my fucking choice. Why the fuck would you remove that from me? What if I wanted to snipe, to be a sniper, to be a recon that spots patrols early from my team, that pings them, or that pings objective from afar? Why can't I do that? Why can't I use that to my tactical advantage? And he's gonna say that in a moment.
And you legit get locked in place and landed in a horrible position. Man, for some reason, something was preventing me from moving my hellpod in a advantageous position. You can't.
Like maybe in this specific situation, if we go back,
Structure is seen as
we can see here on the right. There's a bug hole. Maybe he wanted to land there and close the hole with the pod. That's saving a grenade, saving ammo. That's all the tactical advantage of doing whatever the fuck you want with your pod, right? Like, why would you remove that from us? And the soft locking was an excuse, okay? It was an excuse the same as it was the nerf of the Raptor. They said that the shrapnel was killing us or our teammates. It was a lie, okay? Like, yes, sure, it could kill us or our teammates, but that's not the reason the shrapnel got removed. The reason is it was too fun, and everybody was using it, and it added the shrapnel of a fucking orbital strike. Like, that's your fault for putting the shrapnel of orbital fight or orbital strike on a fucking primary weapon. But we're going off topic with the Raptor right now. I don't want to do that. Let's move on.
Tall, and you legit get locked in place and landed in a horrible position. Man, for some reason, something was preventing me from moving my hellpod in a advantageous position. You can't place.
And yes, like he said before, like for a year, like the hitboxes of these massive buildings were like 10 times bigger than they should have been, and you legit could not steer your pod at all. Even if you were like away from these buildings, you couldn't. It was locked in place. And when you try to do this, you can see like that your pod is trying to steer into the direction you're pressing, but the game is making it stutter in a weird way, and it says, nope, you can't go here. You go the way the fuck I want you to. And like this must be a nightmare with the caves. I haven't played the caves since the update, because I personally don't like caves, especially when I can't see shit. Like if it was like Deep Rock Galactic, where I have a chest-mounted flashlight that it was always on, and I can see whatever the fuck I'm looking at. But no, if you don't have a flashlight attachment on your weapon or your stratagem, for example, the Stalwart has a flashlight attachment. Funny enough, you can't see shit in those caves, and at times even when I bring a mech down there, the mech has two lights in the front, and sometimes it's hard to navigate even with those lights because they don't make a lot of light. Like sometimes you just can't legit see shit, and of course enemies, the AI can't see you through the darkness because it's an AI. They don't have to visibly see you to attack you. That's an issue humans have. I went off topic again. Sorry. Let's move on.
Stratagems on high ground, leading to stratagem balls bouncing. But certain maps don't have that.
Oh yes, absolutely. The stratagem ball bouncing off of a perfectly flat terrain. Sometimes it happens not even like on these structures. Sometimes you place it in what you think would be a perfect spot for the sentry, and the game just says fuck you and makes it bounce somewhere else, and then it just lands like like for example, the position you had found was an elevated position, great for a sentry, but when it bounces off, it just lands on ground level, and it halves its firepower or its potential. Okay, because you know what I mean. Okay, but yeah,
that coding built in, and you can place it on high ground, and it feels good. It makes sense. We cannot climb the majority of ankle high structures, giving you the no climb symbol. But
yeah, that's true. That's true as well. That you can't.
We cannot climb the majority.
This is because probably there's like the automatic ledge grab has like some sort of hitbox shape to respect. For example, when a hitbox shape is like 45 degrees, maybe it lets you. But this rock specifically, it's like the hitbox of this rock goes a little higher, so it just won't let you. It's a very badly implemented system. Just wanted to say that.
Majority of ankle high structures, giving you the no climb symbol.
See how we can't climb here because this is not a place the developers intend you to go. Like they don't want you to go here. So this place has a weirdly shaped hitbox. So your diver refuses to climb there. To go there, you probably have to dive or use a jump pack because diving kind of ignores this shitty hitbox aspect. Sometimes you can cheese it, sometimes you can't. Diving helps.
But the enemies can now all of a sudden scale stuff, phase through structures, and they can dematerialize themselves to the point that...
Yes, hunters have had this issue since launch. When they leap at you, they pounce you, they do not take into consideration whatever the fuck is in between you and them. So if they pounce, the game just lets them. They just phase through anything. I've already shown this in my hunter guide. They can do this. This has been an issue for hunters specifically when pouncing. But we know that since they introduced mega cities, all enemies have had this freedom. Especially in mega cities like hulks, bigger enemies, hulks, meat bobs. Well, we call them meat bobs. Sorry about that. Flash mobs and others, probably brood commanders too. They can do the tall enemies, big enemies. They have the freedom to no clip through the fucking the ground, whatever the fuck, to do buildings. Even the elevated overseer, they can clip through anything: mountains, buildings, towers, skyscrapers, things like that. You've seen it. I'm sure you have.
That matter means nothing. But we aren't allowed to get a little bit of high ground. You have melee going from heavy pin inadvertently, and that getting fixed. Don't show the devs. But why? Nobody really even used melee weapons. So having that insanely niche playstyle being a bit more useful...
It's true. Melee is an incredible niche not because melee is bad per se, but because we die too fast. When you think of a melee class in a game, you think of a guy that can tank a lot of hits. And even against terminals, for example, you can wear heavy armor, but you will just die in 3, maximum 4 hits if they don't hit your head. Because enemies, especially terminals, deal more than 50 damage per hit. And your effective health pool when you have a light armor is like 90 health. So you're usually 2 hits if you are lucky and you have like vitality booster and they don't hit a headshot. You are like 3 hits, with the third hit being like 5% of your health. Okay. Bugs especially, they deal too much damage, and I know why this is. But we're gonna talk about this later. He's gonna talk about this later. But we are talking about melee. Melee, you'd probably see a melee guy with like the biggest armor, the marshmallow armor, 200 armor value, melee in one hand and the ballistic shield in the other. But it's just, and despite me wanting to see more people play as a melee tank in this game, we just can't with this Grunt philosophy. We need heavy armor to be a lot more tanky for this to work out. And here he says about, he talked about melee getting nerfed from like AP4 or AP5 down to AP2, something like that, or probably AP3. So from heavy pen down to medium pen or light pen, whatever the fuck. And like there was like, even if it was a bug, okay, assuming that it was a bug that melee weapons have the AP4 or AP5, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. It wasn't ruining the game. It wasn't spoiling the game. It was and still is an incredible niche. What the fuck is wrong if, yeah, sure, you could say that it's not realistic that I can slash through the fucking thick armor of a charger, but who cares? Like, it's melee. Like, if you really want to go to the realism path, then you need to compensate somehow the weapon you're nerfing, okay? Or else you're just gonna kill a playstyle that was already very low in popularity.
Is it no big deal? It doesn't break the game. Melee weapons aren't meta because of it. They were just fun to use. The FRV, an issue that I raised in the official Discord personally and got no response to, I said it's kind of weird how you can't reload while driving the FRV anymore, or you can't switch guns while driving. And instead you have to switch seats and do both those things.
Remember this for later. He mentions something, he points out something to the developers, and then they do something about it, something that is a nerf. Let's hear what he says.
And then after raising that concern in the Discord, showing evidence and everything, now you can't reload in the passenger seat either unless you're...
See what I mean? He reported something to the developers, and instead of of listening to him, they just saw this as something that was advantaging us, and they nerfed this. They removed this ability, this feature to reload in the passenger seat or in the initially the driver's seat. Like, sure, it's the driver, maybe he's busy driving. Sure, you could say that he can't reload, swap weapons, but they removed this from the passengers. Okay, if I'm a passenger, why can't I switch a mag out of my weapon? Like, take out the spent cartridge of my rocket and throw it outside and put a new one in. Why not? I'm a passenger. I'm not doing anything. And now it's like the most stupid thing. To reload your weapon, you have to like expose yourself. And when you expose yourself, it's kind of a risk, because this fucking vehicle is so tippy. If the driver just drives on the smallest of bumps, you have the chance of dying because he flips the car, and you were busy loading, exposing yourself out of the car. Why? What the fuck?
You're hanging out the window. You said that when the game first came out, you don't want to have meta, so you nerfed the shield backpack, breaker, and railgun. And now you're enforcing the hardest metas we've ever seen in the game's history. Is the goal to be hypocritical? Is the focus on...
Look at the wings of this dragon, by the way. Look at the fucking wings, at the state they are, and he doesn't give a fuck about them.
On Grunt Fantasy so damning that you don't care if the game design and...
Also, about this specifically,
Grunt Fantasy so...
Why the fuck should fire breath or fucking acid give me a concussion? Like, the screen is all blurry here for him, because in theory he got a concussion and he's stunned. But how can fucking fire breath, something that goes through air, give me a concussion? Or acid, like an acid spew, how can that give me a concussion? It makes sense that I get a concussion when I get rammed by a fucking charger. Absolutely, that makes sense. But acid, fire breath, what?
Damning that you don't care if the game design and the believability of the game's balance just goes out the window.
Look at the fucking wings, dude. Look at the wings. Fucking filled with holes.
Because that's what it looks like right now. You release enemies that don't have any semblance.
And he's completely fine because wings don't. I believe wings don't really affect the main health pool of the Dragon Roach. He is fine.
Of meaningful counterplay. Because they're essentially just the same thing as a other variant, except deadlier, more mobile, and in some cases tankier for no good reason. Example being the Dragon Roach. That's a flying Bile Titan with essentially mostly the same breakpoints. There's some caveats here and there. That is deadlier, faster, and it has broken hitbox.
You see that? He literally died in a single frame, probably a few frames.
That
Let's see how many frames it took to die there.
Faster, and it...
Okay. 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 frames, 4 frames, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 frames, 9 frames, and he's dead. Okay? You couldn't even react to that shit, alright? 9 frames to stem, and like, look at how much health it removed. It goes from 100% health to like 40% health. Then it goes from 40 to like 5% health. And then he's dead from the dot. What the fuck is that? How can I stem that to that? And even if I stem, how can I survive to that? What the fuck? The human brain reaction is, what is it, 25 milliseconds? And he died in 9 milliseconds. What the fuck? What? And yes, he's talking about the Dragon Roach being pretty much a flying Bile Titan, which is a lot more agile and a lot more deadly. But that wouldn't be an issue if the Dragon Roach was dynamically changed like the dynamically changing like the Bile Titan. Okay, like if I pop a sack, I cut his damage in half maybe. If I pop 2 sacks, he can't do shit anymore to me, and he just needs to fly away. If I shoot his wings, what if I shoot his wings and I reduce his movement speed and maybe he can't dive anymore? Like he used to. Why isn't this enemy dynamically changing like the Bile Titan? I can remove the Bile Titan back armor and expose his flesh to deal more damage with other weapons. I can pop a Bile Titan's bile sac and prevent him from spewing anymore. Why is this enemy so badly designed? Why does it feel so rushed? 9 frames to get you killed. What the fuck?
Has broken hitboxes. You get hit by fire, it doesn't actually hit.
What the fuck again?
Faster, and it has broken.
Let's see this again.
Hitbox.
Okay, he doesn't have full HP. Okay, that's like 80%, 90% HP. Granted. Let's see how many frames it takes for him to die. Okay. 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 frames, 4 frames, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 frames to kill you. His health this time went from 90% down to a respectable 50%, then from 50 down to 20, and then from 20, he dies. Okay, so like, and if I'm not mistaken, the dragon deals 150 DPS. Okay, and that's like 150 damage per second. It means you are dead in 1 second because you don't have, even in the heaviest of armor, you don't have 150 HP. You don't. You don't. If you want to survive the Dragon Roaches, you need heavy armor and 75% flame resistance. Then they start tickling you, but only with that. Like, what? Why do I need a specific armor for a single overpowered piece of shit enemy that not only is so hard to die, but gets spammed at me so fucking often? Like, sometimes you can get 2 or 3 or 4 flying at the same time. It gets out of control if you don't kill him right away. Granted, you can ignore him if he flies, if he's like flying somewhere else, you don't have to get his attention, but they usually fly towards you. Why? What?
Get hit by fire, it doesn't actually hit you, and it destroys you instantly in some cases.
And yes, sometimes you don't even get hit by it, like he says, and it fucking murders you instantly. What the fuck? Like but not only that, it's impossible to dodge. Like, it predicts your movement with incredible accuracy. This fucking flying enemy. Holy shit, they don't even have eyes.
In practically every sense, it's a buffed Battle Titan with no downsides. And
this happens often, by the way. You can hit him with a shot from the ultimatum directed. He doesn't die. He just shrugs it off. I don't know why this is. I don't know why it happens. The ultimatum deals 3,000 damage. If you don't hit the head, he's probably gonna take more than 2 hits. Sometimes you insta-kill him, probably because you hit a fatal breakpoint. I don't know how it works, but it's stupid.
This thing spawns on level 5 difficulty in droves. Every 40-ish seconds, give or take some time, it varies.
You see that? He just killed one, another one instantly pops up. He just killed one from the left,
droves.
Another one instantly
every 40-ish seconds, give or take some time.
He was already in the sky flying, probably. He didn't spawn there, but why is the spawn so quick? There is spawn of them.
Varies.
Like, if we consider this as a heavy enemy, we don't get a Bile Titan spawning around us every 40 seconds. Like, it would be filled with Bile Titans at this point. What the fuck did they do with the spawning of this enemy type?
You'll see a Dragon Roach, yet you can't kill it faster than a regular Bile Titan, and honestly, it's more difficult because the weak spot is far harder to hit. It's moving, and the angle.
Yeah, look at how much this flying Bile Titan is moving. It's moving so much. It, like, the instances where this guy is kind of standing still are very, very, very short. For example, when he turns around to after diving, he turns around, he's kind of still there, and after doing this specific attack, he's kind of still there. But like, he moves so much using any precision weapon, like not any precision weapon, any anti-tank weapon precisely to hit the head is incredibly hard, because remember, if you don't have armor, if you don't kill it first, he's gonna kill you first, okay? Like, it is so crazy how very few moments you have to get rid of this, okay? What the fuck?
Goal is less forgiving. The new Rupture strain outside the charger have the annoyances of many enemies combined. The Rupture Warrior can pounce at you. Outside the charger have the annoyances of many enemies.
Look at the damage of that Bile Spew.
Combined. The Rupture Warrior can pounce at you, which folks are saying is a host bug and it shouldn't be the case. Rupture Warriors do not correctly track moving clients when attacking. I'd go out on a limb and say that means that they're not as accurate as they should be for the folks that aren't the host. I'm pretty sure that's the intended behavior. They may change it because folks don't like it, and they may...
He was, he told us on Discord, he was making this video before the Rupture strain was removed, so he left this part in. Of course, I would have too. And now the Rupture is gonna get a rework, but look at this clip.
Raise enough awareness that, hey, this kind of sucks, but I'm pretty sure they don't want those things just missing you. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense in their Grunt fantasy worldview. Rupture Warriors now track moving clients
I don't remember what it is, but it's gonna be soon.
Accurately, leveling the difficulty level of attacks between client and host. Now you have the entire group.
Yeah, this. Look, he perfectly times the shot.
Getting hit by
removes the head of the warrior. Removes the head of the warrior, and the warrior is unfazed. They are completely immune from stagger during this animation. And he gets hit. He gets punished for this. Look at his health.
A human can't react to it. And even when you can, it doesn't matter.
That's probably a headshot, or maybe not. But look, that's like 40% of your health removed to that.
Matter. The QA lead said something I have two major problems with. It's unfortunate that the fix means more people are getting hit by an arguably unfair attack.
Arguably unfair attack. Arguably? No, shit, dude. That's an unfair attack. Not arguably. It is guaranteed that it's unfair, let me tell you. You know why? Because you don't play your game. I do. I play your game. We play your game.
Into how the Rupture enemies have landed, but that's a broader issue. Don't look into it. Just look at it, brother. That's all you have to do. Look at it with your monitor turned on. They turned on their monitors. Rupture strain going offline.
Yeah, in fact, he probably added this part after the video was pretty much complete, because the as I said, the Rupture faction got removed, sub faction got removed and replaced with Predator Strain.
And for essentially the next 5 weeks so they can get reworked. The Bile Rupture Spewers. Those dudes will aimbot you through a rock, erupt, you can't even tell, and then 100 to O you in no time flat. Because
yeah, you can't even tell. This enemy has like is poorly balanced. Like the only balanced part of this enemy is the secondary attack they have, the kind of artillery attack they have. They shoot a few acid balls at you. They don't deal a lot of damage, and that's probably an attack designed to slow you down. And that attack is fair because it doesn't have the potential to insta-kill you, even with direct hits and light armor. It deals very, very few damage, okay? The problem with this specific spewer is that it's probably, I think it's slightly less tanky than the actual bio spewers, because they die to a single pistol grenade shot. Direct hit, by the way. But they are still very tanky, very, very tanky, okay? And my main issue with this specific bug is their spew attack, their vomit. The classic vomit attack that the nursing spewers and the barrel spewers have. This attack, dude, it probably deals the same damage as the other two variants, but it has so much more range. It hits you from so fucking far away. Dude, it's a close range attack. It's not supposed to have more range than the fucking artillery attack they have. What the fuck? And when it hits you, it deals so much damage, and it is going to hit you because it has so much range.
they have the same damage as a regular Bile Spewer. And in
These specific enemies, they don't have a cooldown on their burrowing or on their burrow. They just it's like playing a fucking whack-a-mole, okay? They go under the ground, then they come out and attack you, and if you don't, and God forbid, if you don't have an explosive weapons, it is like playing whack-a-mole, where if you don't win, you die! Dude, you have to, and it's not even that easy, because like they have armor penetration. I think they have a AV2 on their head, so you should be able to kill them with primary weapons that have light pen. But remember, AV2, your light pen weapon gets its damage cut off by 35%, so that increases time to kill. You either need an explosive weapon or a decently high damaging medium pen weapon, like the Coyote or the fucking Adjudicator or something like that. Okay, it's just so badly designed. You need this kind of meta for this enemy specifically. The only good enemy, the new enemies that were introduced, were the Chargers, the Rupture Chargers, and the Hive Lord. That's about it.
both cases, they take a lot of damage to kill, unless you're using explosive weapons. And that's the meta here. Bring explosive weapons. Where is the variety?
Exactly.
And people talk about adapt to the new meta. There is no new meta. Explosive weapons like grenade launcher have been meta against the bugs since forever, because Alpha Commander spam, Hive...
It's not about adapting, it's about cutting the balls off of variety. Why do I need to bring the grenade launcher in every fucking mission, dude? What if I want to bring something else? Or the Purifier. The grenade launcher or the Purifier, one of the two, because I'd say the Purifier is a better thing to bring because it's a primary, and it's like the Purifier is literally a Scorcher with a secondary mode that turns it into a very powerful Punisher Plasma. So that's why the Scorcher and the Punisher Plasma are kind of lacking behind, because the Purifier does everything much better than them. So, and of course, I can bring I can bring the Purifier and maybe some anti-tank for the Hive Lord, or God forbid, if you don't bring it, anti-tank for the fucking Dragon Roaches, okay?
Guard spam. And not to mention Bile Spewers, Nursing Spewers. Those 4 different seeds you can get, Grenade Launcher is very good on. There's currently 3.2 thousand divers on the Hive World with Cave Missions, Rupture Strain, Hive Lords, Dragon Roaches, all the new content. And there's more than that on one sector for Illuminate, which, by the way, is easily the most hated faction in the game by far. You have the Automatons with War Striders. Those things are absolutely horrendous, considering for the past year, folks have told you that bunker turrets are not engaging. They ragdoll you. There's not much counterplay. All you can't kill me.
Yeah, it's incredible how the highest the highest damaging enemy, like the highest priority enemy, is a fucking standing still building that you can hardly see, and when it turns at you, it has like 160 meters operational range, and when it turns to you, you're dead. Okay, you're either ragdolling or dead, or both.
He shot 3 times. You make the Hulks have bunker turret arms, and players say that also.
And talking about War Strider, I haven't had too many issues with them, especially because like when I'm playing against automatons, like I play like it's fucking Vietnam War. Okay, I just hide behind whatever the fuck obstacle I find. But like yesterday, I joined the game and it was they were on the brink of losing. They had 0 reinforcement and I didn't have a single second to organize myself. I called down my spear, shot a couple of missiles to a couple of gunships that were flying, and I got like instantly surrounded by 3-4 War Striders. I had nowhere to hide, nowhere to go, no time to reload. I kept getting ragdolled. I survived for like 30 seconds stop, then I died to War Striders. And so yes, when there's too many of them and the situation is out of control, it's absolutely abysmal. Because they just keep ragdolling you all over the fucking place. It wouldn't be an issue if, he's probably gonna say it later, if this enemy had a weak spot. For most weapons, like a weak spot that is like AV3. So my primary weapons and my stratagems, most of my stratagems, actually all of my stratagems with AV3, can kill it. But no, you need very heavy anti-tank. It's like if War Striders are like the light version of Dragon Roaches. You need something specific to kill them, albeit they are a lot more forgiving than Dragon Roaches in terms of enemy design and how fast they can kill you. Because their grenade attack is very well balanced. The railguns on their shoulders, they can be destroyed, which is a good thing, of course, but they ragdoll you. It's all about the ragdolling in the end.
Also makes no sense. Please just burn it with fire. Get out of here. You reduce the bunker turret's accuracy and then drop Leviathans that have 4 bunker turrets that can ragdoll you and aimbot you.
Leviathans, absolutely fucking insane. Absolutely insane. When they were released, these things had 200 meters operational range, 1500 explosive damage and crazy accuracy. Nothing will survive them. Nothing. Your mech, your exosuit, insta-kill. You, insta-kill. Your emplacement, insta-kill. Do you remember, guys, when Leviathans dropped, they had to give us free shield relays because it was unbearable. What the fuck? Who the fuck makes these designs? Who the fuck? Why don't you? But even then, why the fuck do you not test this shit? What is the only thing you test? The only thing you test is that enemy works and kills you? Don't you test if it's fun to play against? If it's engaging to play against? No. All we care is that it works. Oh, of course, their attack is arguably unfair. Arguably.
From Narnia, one-tapping you in heavy explosive.
Yeah, see? That's like more than 160 meters, and this guy is already focusing him.
Resist armor, which can still happen, by the way. Then you
sniped by that. Instantly killed.
Narnia, one-tapping you in heavy explosive resist armor, which can still happen, by the way. Then you release
4 of those cannons. 4! And they were not possible to be destroyed initially. They had no hitbox. Your shots would just go through them. You just couldn't. What the fuck is that enemy design? How do you design an enemy so bad?
War Striders. These have 2 bunker turrets firing a barrage of 4 shots each, and the interval between attacks is not long at all, and they can one-shot you. These are essentially the Hulks because in many cases they replace Hulk seeds. You have War Strider seeds, Hulk seeds, and sometimes a mix of both.
Yeah.
Yet they're tankier, deadlier, and far more.
The War Striders survive a direct hit from a 500 kg. Guaranteed. The 500 kg cannot kill them. 500 kg will destroy their weapons, their arms and shoulders, but they will still be alive.
More oppressive. Where is the semblance of balance whatsoever? And the one shot, by the way, is because you get hit in the chest, it's going to cause you to bleed. That bleed will kill you so fast because you're ragdolled, you can't stem. since they also felt the need to make bleed damage essentially 10 times what it used to be, since players weren't really afraid of bleeding. Love that change! Cannot! Wow, we can...
Remember what I told you earlier about the FRV change he suggested in the Discord, he talked about in the Discord? Well, this is gonna be the same case with me, okay? When they released the survey on Discord, they release surveys after updates. I told them in the survey, guys, the new armor passive is nice, but it is absolutely worthless. Do you know why? Nobody gives a shit about damage from hemorrhages because Vitality Booster exists, okay? So what did they do? Of course, they saw this as an issue that was buffing us, and instead of doing something else with it, they shadow nerfed the Vitality Booster by increasing the damage that the Thorax Hemorrhage does. So now it deals so much damage, like you die in like 12 seconds from full HP, right? Because it's kind of 10 damage per second or something like that, and you just die. So by doing this, of course, they make the armor passives useful again because you are completely immune from bleed damage. But when you are ragdolling and bleeding, you are dead. If you ragdoll too much, you're dead because you don't have time to stim. And of course, with this they introduced a new amazing bug, whereas if the bleeding hemorrhage happens after you stimmed, so the bleeding hemorrhage gets healed by the stim effect going on, you won't have the debuff, but you will still get your damage over time from the bleeding applied. So you can run around, but your health will slowly drain. No, not slowly. Your health will actually kind of quickly drain, and if you don't notice it, you're gonna die. And you're like, what bleeding? What bleeding killed me? I wasn't bleeding. I could run. Because when you bleed, you have no stamina and you cannot run anymore. Okay, this is a bug. Of course, it's a bug. It's probably not even on their top priority list because they are garbage. These developers, I hate them. Okay, trash.
We need more of that in the game. We don't die fast enough. Now, when you're bleeding, you just die in many cases. In the game, we don't die fast enough.
He got hit. He got hit by this piece of shit small cannon here. Ragdolled, instantly bleeding to his chest, and he's dead because he can't stim while ragdolled.
When you're bleeding, you just die.
Boom. From 100% health to 20% health, he's ragdolled. He can't do anything. And
in many cases. There's no counterplay there at all. It's just extra damage and causing you to die more often.
He is showing the difference here in the tutorial, presumably. From on the left is current to on the right is old. Look at the left, by the way. What the fuck is that filter?
That's the goal. They're trying to make the game as difficult as they can in the laziest and most arbitrary way possible. Maybe not on.
And while it's true that previously the bleeding damage was pretty much unnoticeable, like 1 damage per second, so like 0.25 health every 25 milliseconds, that was not the way to go. If you wanted to increase it, you could have just like increased it to 1 per second. Sorry, to 1 per 25 milliseconds, which is 4 per second. 4 per second sounds balanced to me. No, 10 per second, dude. 10 damage. What the fuck?
Purpose, but that's what's happening. And I don't know what the end goal is either, because they're not fixing things that would actually make the game more challenging in a 4-man. For instance,
look at the fucking fog, dude. There's probably a mushroom up ahead, but look at the fog.
The Alpha Commanders not spawning Alpha Warriors for, I don't know, the past year, that hasn't been fixed if you're in a 4-man or 3-man group. After the update to fix the host issues, Alpha Commanders still cannot spawn minions if the host is not near them. But
yeah, this is an issue with Alpha Commanders. Alpha Commanders will spawn their Alpha Warriors only if they are aggroed onto the host. If they are not, they will try. They will do their animation, they will do their sound for it, but they can't. It's a bug. And while this makes things easier in multiplayer, in solo or duo, like he's gonna say in a second, it is a fucking nightmare because these alpha commanders, they run away, they spawn shit, they come back, they spawn shit, and they keep doing that. The alpha commanders refuse to fight you and instead prefer to spam you with overpowered alpha warriors that run at the speed of a headless warrior. Like imagine a normal warrior, when you remove the head, he's fast as fuck and therefore he's dangerous, okay? The alpha warriors are the exact same thing, exact same health, okay? They just have that speed. They are faster than you in light armor, okay? And they can kill you in 2 hits. What kind of enemy design is that? That is so fucking retarded, dude.
Now they're spamming you with more alpha commanders in missions. So if you're solo or duo, you actually see how annoying those enemies are. If you're in a 4-man, you don't notice it. Oh, the game's so easy, guys.
These are all alpha warriors. Look at how fast they are.
Because the 30 freaking alpha commanders aren't spawning 90 minions. And don't forget, alpha commanders raise their children and send them off to fight you, and then walk away. Beta parent, beta commander. You've changed chargers, charger behemoths, and impalers, making their legs tankier once they're exposed.
This is true. Many of you might not know this, but when they massively buffed our weapons, quote unquote, they reduced Charger's armor from AV5 to AV4, and to compensate for this, they made the exposed flesh on their legs have a lot more health than normal. You can kind of kill them fast enough if you have medium penetration, but if you have light, now that's gonna take you a while, because if I'm not mistaken, the Charger Behemoth's leg exposed flesh has like 800 health. Okay, now imagine your Liberator that does like what, 70 damage per shot, 75 or 65. Okay, now remove 35% of that, and you have to go through 800 health with your damage being almost cut in half. Okay, that's gonna take at least 2 magazines to kill a charger with an exposed weak spot.
Which doesn't make any sense at all. And way back when you said, we're humbled by the community's ability to find things like Charger's leg meta in our...
Yeah, it was a meta because chargers had no other reliable way to be killed. The ass was incredibly durable, and yes, you could pop it, but like I believe only explosive damage, so like the Scorcher could like kill it fast enough. Okay, everything else you just couldn't. Of course, the players are gonna try to find a way to get rid of an annoying enemy fast. You strip the armor with the railgun, you finish him off with your primary. That's done.
Game. However, spending your heavily anti-tank weapons on legs instead of the obvious weak points seems counter to expectation. Breaking leg armor and taking forever to kill once it's exposed is also very counter to expectation. We are not changing anything regarding the Charger's legs, which was true at the time, except now they take almost twice the damage to be killed once their legs exposed, which makes a lot of guns that are not great at going for the face, which is tankier, feel less enjoyable. What is the point in giving us less options? And this is mostly because you didn't want Flamethrower being good against Chargers, but who cares?
Fun fact, the actual Flamethrower Stratagem is worse than the Torture, the primary weapon. Like, the only thing the Flamethrower has, maybe, is like a tiny bit more range. But aside that, it is literally the same but worse, okay? Just worse. And it's a Stratagem. Think about that for a second.
Why not? Why should our support weapons suck? Is the question. And it's funny how Flamethrower is better against the automatons than it is versus the bugs, even though it's probably not intended whatsoever. Some folks may point out the old clip shows a base charger and the new gameplay shows a charger behemoth, but fun fact, they're the exact same thing until June 13th, 2024.
This is true. Initially, chargers, these specific chargers, behemoth chargers, would not spawn in any difficulty aside for one mission type. It's the mission type where you have to save some citizens you have to activate a couple of antennas. I don't remember the name, and save some citizens. You go at the end and you find a single behemoth charger just chilling them there. He was basically just a reskin of the normal charger. But as he's gonna say in a moment, they buffed it and then they made it spawn on difficulty 10.
That's whenever they said Charger Behemoths are now joining the battle in higher difficulties, it can now also take more damage than before. This enables us to spawn fewer chargers but still retain the difficulty. That is not how you make difficulty enjoyable.
I agree. I agree in this case. Like look at this picture. There's like six chargers on the screen. That is a fucking anti-tank emplacement wet dream. And this doesn't happen anymore. Like heavy enemies barely spawn anymore. You get like one, maybe two here and there. And you don't increase difficulty by making an enemy harder to kill. It's a lot more fun when it's a horde shooter, when there's so many enemies coming at you and you have weapons good enough to deal with them. Okay, that's fun. What isn't fun is enemies that take so much to die and barely spawn.
Instead, you had it all down right. You spawned.
It was perfect, as you say. It was all down right. It was perfect. But then they changed this
On a bunch of the enemies, but give us the tools to defend ourselves, and that's far more action-packed and fun versus making enemies bullet sponges.
Exactly.
Which is the same thing you've been doing.
Look at this meat bob. Oh, I activated the fucking oopsie daisy. Look at the meat bob clipping to the fucking staircase.
Versus making enemies bullet sponges. Which is the same thing you've been
hitting him twice, flinging him away through the fucking, no clipping to the fucking ground.
Doing. Insert meat bobs. I don't care anyone says.
And he died to
same
that.
thing you've been doing.
Because he kept chasing him to the fucking ground. He kept chasing him. Look at that.
Insert meat bobs. I don't care anyone says. That enemy is horrendous. You made Gatling, laser, and airburst orbitals worse. Ever since the invasion of Super Earth, they now originate at a strange angle from the Starship Destroyer, which is placed off the map.
I'm not sure about the Gatling barrage. I think the Gatling barrage is still fine, but I agree with the orbital airburst. That thing, they added so much spread to that thing. They probably did this with the intention of it covering a larger area, but by doing this thing specifically, they made it actually less effective and more prone to killing you, the Helldiver.
Earth, they now originate at a strange angle from the Starship Destroyer, which is placed off the map. This gives them less value on kills in terms of the enemies and a lot more chance of killing your teammates instead. Whereas before, they just go pretty much perpendicular with the ground. Far more effective at killing chargers and every other kind of enemy that would be a bit tankier and you want to have more direct damage too.
Oh, I think I know what he means. He says that okay, here he means that the shots from the machine gun and the airburst bomblets, they come at an angle instead of perpendicularly, because it's based on the direction of the destroyer, of your destroyer. So it's kind of RNG in this way, but okay, I get what he means now. Like, this doesn't really reduce the effectiveness of the orbital machine gun strike or whatever the fuck, the orbital Gatling, but it does definitely lower the effectiveness of the orbital airburst.
And laser just tends to miss now, or at least it can if the angle's too severe. There's a growing number of instances where Arrowhead has an improper understanding of balance in their own game, leading to pretty scuffed decisions, such as the railgun and arc thrower. The arc thrower is slapping times across the map. People made it very clear it's because of a bug with the game. The way the bug used to work, if you're in a group and you aren't the host, you'll deal more damage with the railgun and arc thrower to mostly Bile Titans. Taking railgun down from...
This is a very old... This is the very old PlayStation 5 bug that we used to have and that caused the railgun to get murdered. It still happens to this day. Although I'm not sure if it's like PS5 related. It is client and host related, that's for sure. But we still have it to this day. He's gonna say it in a moment. The bug this time, it's kind of less noticeable because like the shots from killing a Bile Titan go from 3 when you're hosting to 2 when you're client. That's the only difference. One shot.
From being 7 shots max charge to 1 or 2 shots, which is crazy. That bug still works to this very day, just a bit less extreme. You go from taking 3 max charge shots to kill Bile Titan to instead 2.
Yep.
It's funny how that works, ain't it? And the railgun got butchered for that, by the way. They said they didn't actually change the damage way back when. They did. I tested it, and it was definitely changed. But it seems as though the way they test things way back when...
This fucking stalker just fucking zoomed after he killed him.
They did. I tested it, and it was definitely changed. But it seems as though the way they test things isn't consistent with how the game actually plays for most people. Railgun has recovered pretty heavily, but Arc Thrower still sucks, and it's gotten nerfed. It used to stun Hulks in a single shot.
Yes, the Arc Thrower, guys, if you haven't watched my previous balance suggestion video, the arc thrower is literally the blitzer as a stratagem. It deals the same damage, has like twice the range. Wow, so much for my fucking arc thrower, and that's it. And its arcs hit multiple enemies. It's literally a blitzer, a bit better. Or if you like what? And he, like he just said, it used to stagger hulks and probably other enemies. Yes, it used to stagger hulks and chargers with a single hit. Now it doesn't anymore. They nerfed it. They absolutely nerfed it.
Now it takes 2. The range is still pretty cheeks, as well as the
And it takes 2 instead of 1.
fire rate, which was really fun for the gun. It's not terrible. You can still use it. I've done it recently. But it could be so much more enjoyable if you simply reverted the changes that you made due to a bug you didn't properly understand. It hasn't happened in a year and a half, though. And I don't think it will. That's not the focus. I don't get it. A lot of changes I'm complaining about are things that could be tweaked with basic number changes.
Oh, what a Chad, using the Constitution against bots, dude. What a fucking Chad.
Just super basic stuff. I'm not even harping on too many of the game-breaking glitches. I'm talking about the issues that y'all are directly responsible for. Didn't bring up the fact the game will hard lock your PC. Does it to me pretty consistently now. I start to bring up the
What did he say?
fact the game will hard lock your PC. Does it to me pretty consistently now. I start the game and it freezes it. I gotta turn the PC off, ending the stream in some cases.
This hasn't happened to me. I think it's an issue with more modern hardware. I have like 2020 hardware, pretty old stuff. I have an i7 10K, and sorry, not 10K, a 10700, okay. Mine can't be overclocked, and I have a 2070 Super, and things are a little lighter on my end, probably because I'm using a bit older hardware. But he said he got a new rig recently, so probably with Windows 11 even. I wouldn't be surprised if that was also a cause. Windows 11, worst operating system after Windows 8. No doubt on that.
That's ridiculous. You're changing mission constellations and enemy seeds in ways that aren't particularly fair. Before, Raise the Flag and Purge Hatcheries almost always gave you a hunter seed, and those are great. You get more kills, higher number, fantastic time. Now, those almost always give you either Nursing Spear.
This wouldn't be an issue if we knew what seed we were going to face in the first place, but we don't. Okay, and yeah, I agree. Fighting Nursing Spewers and Biospewers all the time is kind of annoying.
Biospewers, or Alpha Commander and Hive Guard spam.
Alpha Commander, actually, a Hive Guard seed is one of the worst, absolutely worst seed, because like if you made the fatal mistake of not taking anything with like AP3, you are fucked. But even if you had your primary weapon, like you had your Liberator Penetrator, there is just so many Hive Guards being thrown at you. You're gonna have to resupply constantly. Now I have to say, these are some of the most fun seeds when I'm using the Airburst Rocket Launcher, which is probably every time. No, I use it very often, but not that often.
That I can only assume is because you want folks to fail the mission more often. Now I can't.
That is the wet dream. Look at all those bugs. The wet dream of my Airburst Rocket Launcher. I just shoot in the air, and all the bomblets drop down and get like a fucking 30 times streak kill.
Can't really get hunter seeds the way I used to on almost any mission type, even on the.
There's so many bugs here, by the way, because this is a secondary objective. It's the larva backpack. The larva backpack acts as a player, so and the game will spawn bugs around it, and the bugs will try to attack the larva because it's probably flagged as a player to them, to the AI. So you will always find a massive group of enemies around it. It can even attack fucking dragon roaches. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sorry, I'm not joking. Like there was this kind of objective a couple of days ago I was testing, and the fucking Dragon Roach kept dive bombing it and killing its own friends because it was seeing it as a player.
The retrieve data mission or upload data via local delay.
And of course, when you get in range of this, they see you as a priority instead of the backpack. There is probably some kind of flag that makes you an actual priority to them, even though the flag is the same.
Also is giving me Hive Guard and Alpha Commander spam. Players found a way to escape these annoying enemies, and y'all said, come on guys, you're like a challenge, and instead change the seeds and are forcing them down our throats. On the Gloom strain enemies, you see more Alpha Commanders and Hive Guards in some cases than the Gloom enemies. Same.
Yeah, this is kind of weird. We went from like patrols having 1 Alpha Commander to 2 Alpha Commanders to now 3 and sometimes 4 Alpha Commanders per fucking patrol. You get like 4 Alpha Commanders and a couple of Hive Guards in the same patrol, and like, God forbid you are playing solo, that is gonna be shitting so many Alpha Warriors for you. And it guaranteed sometimes it depends on the seed, but sometimes they don't only shit Alpha Warriors, sometimes they decide to spawn Hive Guards themselves, or Gloom Warriors, or I've seen them spawn Rupture Warriors. Like when they spawn a warrior, it looks like there's a pool they pick it from, which has Hive Guards and other warriors variants, including the Bile Warriors, but only when there's Bile Spewer seeds.
Thing goes for Rupture Strain. These seeds make it so light penetration weapons are essentially useless. Even the folks you can kill with those guns aren't going to be great, and that's partly because you give those guns 65% damage based on the way that durable damage works. It's almost hilarious how little information we get based on what we're fighting, even though the game has a tip saying mission...
Yeah, the game has this exact tip. Mission difficulty is determined in part by the types of enemy united in the area. Make sure you bring the appropriate weaponry. No shit, you fuck-ass tard. If only I knew what kind of enemies was waiting for me in the mission beforehand, then I would.
Difficulty is determined in part by the types of enemy units in the area. Make sure you bring the appropriate weaponry. But let me guess, it's a team-based game. Bring different loadouts. For sure, we'll have Carl bring a loadout that might suck entirely against the things we're facing because we have no idea what it's actually going to be, and if that happens, he'll just waste 30 to 40 minutes in that mission. Sounds awesome! And when that's not the case, it takes more shots than it should to kill enemies based on other factors that just make the weak spots you have set in place not that great. For these Scout Strider legs, they take so much damage to be destroyed, even though they're
7 shots to the leg and 2 shots to the crotch. What the fuck was that with the Talon, dude? The Talon.
They're now light pin. It's not really worth doing. You made aiming worse for SMGs and sidearms after increasing sway for said weapons, and then added a effect where if you sprint for a second or two and go to shoot a sidearm, there's an egregious amount of sway that takes a whole second to actually adjust where you're properly aiming, making the weapons just far less enjoyable to use. To this...
Did you see that fucking spread of the reticle? Let's see that again. With the Loyalist pistol.
A sidearm. There's an...
Look at this. Look at how much that fucking moves. It looks like he's fighting the Epoch right now, dude. Look at that shit. The pre-buff Epoch.
Egregious...
Prefix Ebuff. Prefix Epoch Ebuff. What the fuck am I saying? Epoch.
Amount of sway that takes a...
Look at the fucking sway of the pistol.
Whole...
A pistol.
Second to actually adjust where you're properly aiming.
You see that shit? He missed 2 shots because of that.
Making the weapons just far less enjoyable to use.
Look at his reaction. Look at his reaction after he misses the second shot.
Where you're...
He's like, huh? What the fuck?
Properly aiming. Making the weapons just far less...
Look at his reaction to that.
Less enjoyable to use. To this day, it still makes more sense to revert the sway nerf on sidearms and SMGs and instead buff the sway for assault rifles. Make them a bit more accurate if that's the goal, is to make them be a bit different. That way, folks actually have a better feeling playing the game versus just making it worse to use weapons for no gain.
What is just said is a very good way of thinking, is a very healthy way of balancing. He's suggesting to absolutely remove the sway from pistols, which I believe is absolutely fair, because it's a pistol, okay? There is a reason if switching to your pistol is faster than reloading is a fucking meme, okay? Your pistol is supposed to be the emergency weapon you bring out when your primary is out of your primary magazine is out of ammo, okay? And the pistol should be something that is quick, light, precise, and fast, okay? I'm not saying I should snipe with a pistol, no, but like giving it that much of sway, no, it's a secondary weapon. It should be agile, okay? It should be agile. And then he said to improve the sway on assault rifles and SMGs. This is a very healthy way of thinking because it encourages you to play more aggressively with these weapons, as of where you can shoot while moving. You can shoot these specific weapons while moving, as of where maybe a marksman rifle, it's a precision weapon, so you have to stand still. To be more precise, and moving is a detriment for you. This is a very, very good way, healthy way of thinking about balance, giving each weapon type its own uniqueness, even by simply changing the sway after you stop running. That's why I like Ohdough as a creator, because he thinks of good ways of improving the game, good and unique ways on their own to improve the game, like without making things busted.
Aside from arbitrary difficulty, there's an unhealthy focus on making players less accurate through spread, ergonomics, sway, the whole 9 yards, to the point that Warbond's release with weapons that have such terrible ergonomics, players won't even use them.
Yeah.
Variable.
Yeah, there is so many weapons that players do not use. Good weapons, like you just said, the variable, an absolutely masterpiece of a weapon. Love it. But most players just don't want to use it because it's ass to use. It feels ass to move around. The ergonomics is ass. It's like 25 ergo 20. Like, bro, and you can't even put a fucking angled grip on it if you wanted to. But I would never put an angled grip on something full auto, because the recoil penalty is just too much for that attachment. But yes, players do not use these weapons because of that. The Diligence CS, how many Diligence CS do you see? Nobody uses the Diligence CS because of the ass sway. The variable, very few people use the variable, even though it's a great weapon and fun to use. Everybody's rocking the fucking Coyote. Okay, of course they are. It has very good mag size. It has fucking incendiary rounds, medium pen, 75 damage per shot. Dude, what the fuck? Of course I'm gonna use the Coyote. What the fuck? Obviously. Why use the variable when I have the Coyote that does everything that the variable can do, aside the ultimate firing mode, but that's another thing of the uniqueness of the weapon. But you see the point. Why use the Liberator Penetrator when I can use the Coyote? Come on.
For instance, before that you had Amendment that had to get ergonomics buff by dang near double so folks would actually enjoy the gun.
Yes, the amendment released with 35 ergonomics, which is like 35 should be the base ergonomics of the AMR, which honestly 35 feels decent on the AMR because like it's a big ass weapon. But on the amendment, 35, no, that's abysmal. And think that there's weapons that have even lower than that. As I said, the Diligence CS, the variable have 25. Sometimes even the adjudicator can go down to 24 when full attachments are installed. Dude, what the fuck?
Why would you release weapons that have those issues in such a severe state? Then we had Reprimand with 50 bloom, I think, 50 spread.
Yes, the Reprimand that couldn't hit shit.
Then you launch Stim Pistol that has 30 spread and wonder why players don't use it. Then you
Stim Pistol, a weapon that requires immense precision to be effective, and you give it bloom. What the fuck? What the fuck? What way of thinking is this? Arrowhead. What the fuck? Who makes these decisions? Like, dude, it's at this point, I'm just asking for some common sense. Like, okay, I get it, you are fucking retarded, but I'm just asking for some common sense at this point.
Fix the spread and add sway to said pistol, making it so folks still miss shots that they shouldn't be missing. The devs literally said, players want the Stim Pistol, we give it to them and they don't use it. Because you've made it horrible to use. Not to mention, we die so fast, you can't stim people properly. The stim does less healing.
Look at that guy, instantly killed by the incendiary heavy devastator. Because of course it's a shotgun. Up close, it should be deadly. But no, insta kills are bad, are not healthy for the game. Insta kills are not fun. Look at his friend A1 getting blasted. He was chill. Okay, this guy A1 was reloading his recoilless rifle. Maybe he was thinking, okay, maybe this devastator is gonna get killed by my teammates. Like you trust your teammates usually. I know you shouldn't, but that's another thing. But look at him getting absolutely blasted by that.
So fast, you can't stim people properly.
And I'm sure that A1 here, he saw that devastator, but he didn't think he would just die to that like that. He was in fact 2 meters from Devastator, reloading his recoilless rifle, chilling. And Doe, as you can see, Doe saw this happening and tried to shoot a stim into his back to prevent him from dying. And it just doesn't fucking matter because the guy gets insta-killed. One shot. Granted, by a point-blank shotgun, but it doesn't matter. Insta-kills should not happen in PvE games for the players. See that? He probably shot too late, but even if he did stim him, he would have died regardless.
The stim does less healing than a regular stim, and you can still get 2-shot through a stim and die instantly. 442,000 folks fighting bugs.
Patch 0.000, so this is like when the game pretty much released.
I'm thinking bugs.
So yeah, what you see
folks
here,
fighting bugs.
one, these are normal hits, and then there's a headshot, okay? Like he got hit 4 times by hunters. The third hit broke his arm. The fourth hit, look at how much health that removed, that headshot. Okay, like he had like around 55% health, maybe 60, down to like 10% health. How much fucking damage is that? And remember, this was when our armor reduced more damage than usual.
I'm thinking like maybe 20,000 folks fighting bugs.
These... Oh yes, this is when they introduced the enemies headshot. Because like enemies could always headshot you, but then they introduced their frequency of headshots. And of course, he made the comparison from 400 players at the beginning to 20,000 on patch 1.
I'm thinking like maybe 20,000 folks fighting bugs.
1.00, 1.203. Let's see the health bar again. Okay, the hunter did around 10% of his health, maybe 15% of his health with a hit. That's another 20% with another hit, and he dies. 30% to the last hit dog attack.
Every single bug can break a limb in a single hit.
2 hit. With light armor, you are 2 hits for bugs because hive guards, warriors, commanders, they deal 55 base damage, and your health with light armor is around 90. Okay, 90. So 55, what is it? 2 shots. You die in 2 shots, unless you have the vitality booster, which gives you damage reduction, which increases your health by, I don't know, 20. So that occasionally makes you survive 3 hits, but barely.
Every single bug can break a limb in a single hit.
See, in this case, he had light armor, vitality booster, but he still died from 2 hits, even though he got bleeding. Let's see.
Every single bug.
One. Okay, he got 1 tick of bleeding in, and the second hit killed him. And yes, it's so stupid that even the smallest bugs can like fucking break a limb with a hit. If I'm not mistaken, like the smallest bugs deal like 30 damage, which is like what, 25 less than a warrior, and 30 damage is like you die in 3 hits from a Wilbur.
Limb in a single hit. Pouncers,
in light armor.
Hunters, warriors, alpha commanders. Once you're wearing the...
Granted, you take less damage when they hit your limbs, but the limbs gets broken. So, and if they break if they break your arm, it's fine. If they break your leg, you need to stim. A broken leg, if not healed right away, it's instant death. Instant death when you're surrounded, especially.
Heaviest armor, 200 armor rating, and wearing vitality booster as well. That's when you start getting not 2-shot by stuff as consistently. And sometimes...
Yeah, here he shows like the first hit was decent damage reduction.
Every single bug can break a limb in a single hit. Pouncers, Wilburs, Hunters, warriors, alpha commanders. Once you're wearing...
Okay, first hit, it's a decent damage reduction.
The heaviest armor.
Here, that should have been 55 damage, and he lost only 20% of his health. The second hit is gonna be headshot. Look at how much health the headshot removes with armor rating 200 plus vitality booster.
200 armor rating and wearing vitality boost.
Look at that shit. And that removed like another 40% from his health, maybe 50.
As well. That's
A
when you
headshot.
start getting not two-shot by stuff as consistently. And sometimes an Alpha Commander can only three-shot.
Another headshot, and he dies.
Start getting not two-shot by stuff as consistently.
Warriors especially tend to do headshots way more often because their swing is from the top, so they're gonna hit your head first.
And sometimes an Alpha Commander can only three-shot.
They don't use their legs. They use their upper claws to attack you. So that's usually a guaranteed headshot for warriors for alpha commanders. What am I saying? Why am I calling them warriors? But yeah, because this guy looks like a big ass alpha warrior. Sorry, I barely fight normal commanders because they don't spawn on higher difficulties on difficulty 10. They only spawn on difficulty 9 and below.
Gotcha. If it headshot you. It's perplexing to focus on making certain guns aim worse when the AMR and DCS are still currently bugged. I use air quotes because I'm not.
I think they are bugged because if you pick up the AMR from another person that just died, then suddenly the ergonomics goes back to normal, to what it should be, snappy. Okay? Like, it is definitely a bug.
Not sure if it's actually a bug or if it's just y'all's new intention for the guns. Either way, they don't feel good to use, and they haven't for a few months now.
Yep.
That should probably get handled. And if they were fixed, they wouldn't be godlike, they would just...
And someone on his Discord showed that this is a known bug. The ergonomics bug is known, but it is not a priority fix for them. So even the Kyla, one of the people that handles the tickets for the reporting tickets, she said that they don't know when it will be fixed. They just don't know. But dude, it's a fucking game, kind of game breaking. It doesn't prevent me from using the gun, but it makes the gun ask to use. And it reduces variety. It makes me not want to use it.
Be more enjoyable to use, and that's an important factor in this game. It's not,
as you said, more enjoyable to use.
A matter of making things amazing. It's more so having a good baseline, and that baseline should focus on enjoyment.
Look at how snappy it was. You could snap headshots like that.
And being decent against enemies. I won't say viable. Good. Viable is a dumb word that folks use in the worst way possible, so I'm not going to use that. And I think one of the issues the game suffers from is using the most scuffed baselines for many different guns. Assault rifles. Liberator is y'all's baseline. That would make sense if you're using the Sief Trooper Liberator. There's his medium pin. They be gunning down stingrays.
Yeah, it's true. Sief Troopers have standard Liberators, but they have AP3 ammunition for some reason. Damn, why not us too as well? Come on.
How is that fair? How come those guys get the good stuff? Instead, we get the light pin, I guess 45 round Liberator that does next to no damage for an assault rifle and has no other unique qualities. So the moment the Coyote comes out that does fire damage on the bullets, it's now overpowered.
A Liberator with absolutely no sight on it, I have to say. Not even a fucking iron sight.
Powered. In relation to assault rifles, maybe. In relation to the other guns and the entirety of the game, it's not the best gun by a decent bit. It's just actually useful for an AR as opposed to all the slop we've had before. Whoa there, buddy. It's a skill issue. You're bad.
Sorry, I love this part when he plays the Glazer. He just puts this funny hat on, the fucking pool glasses, the fucking donut glaze, his neck and chest,
as opposed to all the
whoa there, buddy,
we've had before. Whoa there, buddy. It's a skill issue. You're bad at the game. Hard to accept. I understand.
Skill issue. If you use the Liberator, skill issue.
What's that? The QA lead said what? The Coyote is fine and we...
I don't make the design calls. I just let the design team know how I feel things are going. But on that front, the Coyote is fine and we need to look at other assault rifles. Oh, isn't that the case?
You need to look at other ARs.
Ain't that the truth?
I've been saying my whole life the ARs kind of suck in Helldivers too, guys. I've been...
And suddenly the Glazer agrees. It's no longer a skill issue.
I've never not said those guns need to be fixed. And that goes for more than just assault rifles. SMGs are the exact same way. The second we had a potential candidate for a great SMG, You made it two-handed. Why couldn't it just...
Yeah, this I have to agree. The reprimand is a kind of an assault rifle SMG. It's very heavy weapon, very heavy caliber, big caliber, 125 damage per shot. It makes sense that it is 200, but being an SMG, it could have been like, actually no, he is right, because SMGs are usually 200, okay, normally, but you have the option to have them light-handed for when you carry something else in your other hand. So he is right in this specific scenario too.
be one-handed?
And that's the thing. You could just make it that when using it in one hand, it has crazy ass recoil. That, like, there's breakpoints for that. Like, there's no breakpoints. Whatever the fuck, compromises. There you go, compromises for that.
And be a 125 damage SMG to make ballistic shield and directional shield a bit more useful. Whereas instead, I just bring a sidearm for that now. Why would I ever want to use an SMG to do something that I can just bring the Talon for? Or even the Senator. Weapons that could easily be so much better will likely never see improvements for two reasons: realism and lore, and because fun isn't the main goal. Why should a throwing knife be more powerful than a bullet? It already is, but to compensate, they made it horribly inaccurate, throwing like a Girl Scout, and not the one that's cracked off Thin Mints, which would be a freaking massive improvement. And for that
Yeah, I feel like the throwing knives have a learning curve. They also got nerfed. They used to have a heavy pen. They don't anymore.
reason, they can't have it be
They are supposed to be for playing stealth.
thrown faster or further than the current state. Why would the accelerator rifle be improved at all? Because it would break the lore, even though I'm pretty sure folks said that gun's supposed to light things on fire. Two things on the
Yeah, it would be really nice if this thing could could AoE light things on fire. It would be so fucking good.
Flash rifle. It does light things on fire in the Killzone game, and it did get a buff. The drag went from 1.5 to 0.1. Drag makes bullets do less damage as they travel, and that number is a bit peculiar to put on a sniper in the first place at that value. But hey, it got buffed, so they can actually...
The AMR doesn't have drag because it's like it's probably a hit scan weapon, but the AMR has damage drop off on distance. The accelerator rifle had drag because its projectiles were like it's plasma projectiles, and they would slow down so much over distance and lose so much damage. Like after 50 meters, you could not kill, you could not pop the head of a commander anymore, alpha command with the accelerator rifle. After they buffed it, it's much better. But still, you don't see this weapon at all being used because, well, one, you can't upgrade it, and two, it is too ammo hungry, and three, it's slow as to reload.
change the guns. The reload speed is still atrocious, though. Why should the Epoch be able to destroy bug holes and open up crates? Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense in your universe because plasma shouldn't be able to do that. Meanwhile, my little spear gun can. The hard focus on realism and believability creates a vacuum that at a moment's notice...
So when I like pointing this out, when you make a mil sim, you don't want to you want to add some realistic things that make the gameplay feel better, but it doesn't not have to be realistic to the point that it has to make sense. Okay, in our actual world, dude, we have plasma launching weapons, massive laser cannons that shoot lasers for 200 meters. Dude, it's not realistic. Okay. Like, there can be some limitations in this.
This can suck the fun out of the game for no good reason. That's part of the reason why the Slugger can't destroy crates anymore. It had the ability to at one point in time, but that didn't make any sense. The shotgun, why can't it do that?
Yeah, they reduced the demolition force on the Slugger shot. I don't know why. Because you could open POI crates for some reason, but that was good for them. Nope.
Why not? Does it really hurt anybody that you can open the crates and get super credits with the shotgun? Is that a
look at how big the explosion is. That's a massive radius. Okay, that's the visual thing compared to the actual thing, you get like probably less than half of that as actual AoE damage. The visual thing is just visual, just for show.
It wasn't believable, but that puts you into a strange spot where now you have to make excuses for why you want to design things the way that they are. And eventually it'll be far too hypocritical and not make any sense. Kind of like how the Epoch is a stronger version of the Purifier, but yet you have a limited...
Yeah, the Epoch has less range, he's showing in this clip. I don't know why the Epoch shot explodes early. It's not like it has a fucking fuse like the Airburst rocket launcher. The plasma shot should travel as much as it wants out. Like,
range, roughly 150 meters. Purifier can go as far as you want it to.
Yeah,
200
Purifier doesn't explode out of nowhere, it just goes.
meters plus, and every shot lands, whether it's charged or uncharged. That
I don't know why they made this.
That makes no sense at all. It's just a random detriment. For what reason? Armor is going the same direction. We have armor pieces that are just taking aspects of different armor and smorgasbording it into itself, in many cases having a...
Yes, absolutely. The new armors are just passive that we already have, blended in together and lowering the value of that the armor provides a little. He's gonna make a comparison in a second. I'm gonna let him talk. I've been talking too much. Sorry about that.
a lesser effect. The new Dune armor, for instance, Dust Devils, 40% resistance to acid, gas, electrical, and fire damage, which is just 10% below the Killzone armor. But the difference is this armor now also has 20% throwing distance, which is 10% less than the other armor that gives you 30%.
See what I meant and what he meant means?
At a certain point, the armor you make won't really match up with the perks it gives you, and that's the whole spiel, isn't it? We can't let you guys pick your perks because then you won't know what your teammates are doing. It wouldn't make sense to have a sleeveless Helldiver with
Pay attention to what it says in a moment. Pay very close attention.
extra padding. As if it matters! This isn't an MMO! Your teammates' builds, in that case, don't matter at all, and if they do, you make it before you go in the mission.
It doesn't matter. Even if I see a guy with medic armor, okay, I know that the guy has more stims, I know that his stims last longer, and that's about it. If someone, if for example I notice that someone has the stim pistol, I will try to move less when they're trying to heal me, but that's about it. It's something I can first, if they have the stim pistol, it's something I can check before dropping in the mission. But I usually don't check my teammates' loadout regarding primary and secondary weapons and armor, because I don't give a shit. They can use whatever the fuck they want. As he said, it does not matter, because you pick your armor based on whatever the fuck your needs are. You pick the peak physique armor if you want to use a gun that has shitty handling, shitty ergonomics. You pick the fire resistant armor if you are going fire build or gas build and fire together. You pick the acclimated if you want to be resistant pretty much all around. And remember guys, acclimated passives don't get a heavy variant of armor. That would be too fun.
That's how it goes. Nobody realistically is doing a thing where they load into a mission and they look at their teammates' loadouts and go, oh my gosh, they're wearing this armor, I can mess with that. The only exception is arc armor. And even then, not really. Maybe your teammate has medic armor and stim pistol, and you'll really calculate that you have 2 extra seconds, or whatever it is, of stim duration, and that'll drastically change your playstyle.
Wow.
If they land the shot, and even then, no one's really doing that either.
Yeah.
People act as if their teammate's armor is a big deal. The main reason
I would genuinely bring the stim pistol if there was a separate slot for it. Okay, like if I could, like for example, replace my stims with the stim pistol and have self injection, I would genuinely bring it in every mission.
they do this is they're glaze divers. They have Sweden syndrome, and for some reason they're okay with all the monkey paw bouncing and the nonsense.
Here, if you don't know what he showed here, he showed a Wilbur removing 50% of his health with a
People
headshot.
act as if their
With a headshot.
teammate's armor is a big deal. The main reason they do this is they're glaze divers.
He's showing his head on purpose, and he is using the heaviest of armors to show that no matter how much armor you have, you're gonna get dying 2 hits from a headshot. This was before they introduced some damage reduction for headshots on heavier armors, quote unquote damage reduction, because it's very, very small.
They have Sweden syndrome, and for some reason they're okay with all the monkey paw bouncing and the nonsensical realism excuses for why things have to be so scuffed. There's no real explanation behind why we can't have armor that we can simply put the perks we want on and then change it accordingly.
Yeah.
That way you have far more customization of your character, and the bonuses for armor aren't that crazy at the moment. Speaking of which, why is it that many of the new bonuses are being made, and then shortly after the devs change things in the game that give us a enforced reason to use the armor. Oh, guys, bleed damage does so much more now. I might want to wear that new armor that has bleed damage immunity. They took away a ton of spare ammunition, but don't worry, you can get siege ready, giving you a little bit back, and faster reloads for anything that's not a support weapon. Actually, it's only your primary.
Yeah, they nerf something in the game and then add the solution to the problem they created via armor passive. Like, dude, I don't have an issue. I'm gonna buy the war bond regardless because the armor is drippy. It doesn't have to be to fix an issue that you created for me to buy it. If that's the concept you're trying to follow, no, that's not the like. I buy war bonds because I like the game. I want to collect weapons and armors. Okay, that's why I buy war bonds even if they are garbage. Okay, because I am a collector. I collect weapons. It doesn't matter what it provides. Like it does matter what it provides. If the things are garbage, I'm gonna be pissed, but I'm still gonna buy it.
Weapon. I'm probably the only one who cares, but why can't I preview the operation when hovering over?
I like that he mentions this. Like, this is the classic example of fixing something that is not broken. Now it just shows a small rocket icon, but before this, you could just instantly check
the operation itself. Instead, I see a ship icon that tells me nothing. Before,
tells me nothing. Before, I could just hover over it. Okay.
It would show you what missions were in the operation. I'm fairly certain. Now I gotta click it.
See that? You can just hover over it, and it tells you what missions are in the operation.
Or it would show you what missions were in the operation. I'm fairly certain.
That was very good. Very, very good. It was absolutely unneeded to be changed. In fact, the change was a fucking downgrade. Okay? It was a downgrade. Now you have to click to check.
Now I gotta click it, zoom in real quick. If I don't like it, zoom out. And
that is so annoying to do. When you try to look for a mission to do solo, that is so fucking annoying to do. Before it was so much simpler.
Press on. I also am fairly certain that y'all have a higher chance of putting missions in the darkness.
Yeah, the missions on the light side of the planet are usually very, very low. 1, maximum 2. The rest is usually always during the fucking nighttime.
Versus the light. Why can't we have 6 operations total, and most, like half of them are in the light, half of them are at nighttime? And then you have more chance of getting missions you actually want to do, versus me having to Alt F4, which does 2 things. It can either preserve the operation you're already in, or the mission you're in, or it can just fully reset your other operation choices. Modifiers are still being used in a very boring way. Bug spores, you can't choices. Modify.
Okay, so between out of all of this, AA defenses is no longer in the game. Thank fucking God. Everything else, I believe it is still in the game. I mean, Ion Storm isn't too bad per se. It's just a fucking weather event. So I wouldn't call this a bad effect. But yeah, everything else, especially atmospheric interference, that is just a big no-no.
Are still being used in a very boring way.
I believe atmospheric interference is no longer present.
Other operation.
It was only on bugs, I think. Actually, it was on any faction. I think that was removed as well.
Choices. Modifiers are still being used in a very boring way. Bug spores, you can't see anything. Okay.
And yes, for example, the atmospheric spores on bug planets, you have the potential to make this a dynamic weather event. Whereas when this event spawns, you guarantee the presence of spore spewers in the mission, and by destroying the spore spewers, after like a few minutes of destroying all the spore spewers, the minimap clears up from the atmospheric spores. Okay, because like making it instant wouldn't be fair, I think, because if you're lucky with the RNG, you can destroy all spore spewers from from anywhere from the map, especially if it's a very open planet, a very open biome. Okay, so like after you destroy, this is a suggestion. It's not in the game. It's just what I had suggested in my first balance suggestion video of making this a dynamic weather event where you destroy the spore spewers. 5 minutes later, the map clears out.
Congrats, this is awesome. Guys, I'm being challenged. No, you're not. Your time's being wasted. It's not fun at all. You've had the operational modifiers that sometimes are okay. It's not a huge deal. But you made it to where the Illuminate had 7-minute extraction time.
Dude, 7 mission extraction time. 7-minute mission extraction time. That's fucking nuts. 7 minutes.
Times at one point. What are we talking about? The most boring faction in the game, and you make the extraction time longer. Eagle rearm time increased by 30% and less ammo on pick.
Yeah, and changes that make no sense because Hive Planets here, he's gonna say what the changes are in a moment, but I'm just gonna say it preventively. Hive Planets have close to no POIs, very few POIs, so you're not gonna be looking for ammo pickups, and in the caves you're not gonna use eagles or anything for that matter.
Pickups on the missions that have caves in which you can't really call in stuff that well to begin with, and you don't really get to use any call-ins in the caves themselves. Why? An example of good modifiers are gunships, shriekers, and if you ever made it for the stingrays, that's another one too, because you can kill those. That's something you can actually be aware of.
I don't know if stingrays is an actual modifier, but if it is, it's probably stingrays is probably my absolute favorite modifier that there is. Stingrays are so fun to fight, incredibly fun to fight. I wish they could spawn more.
Build for, you're chilling. It'd be amazing if you could actually choose your own modifiers. Just saying. And for operational modifiers, I like Hive Lords. That was a lot of complaining, but
I don't think Hive Lord is a mission modifier. I think Hive Lord is just a guaranteed spawn on every mission when on the planets that they are currently on spawning. So, but he's not gonna mention anything about this. But having to fight a Hive Lord in every mission gets really tedious after a while. It feels like a chore because you have to go through 150,000 HP and you need teamwork to go through that, or else you're gonna need like 20 minutes if you're solo. But if you're solo, you know what you're going through, you know what you're going against, okay? Like like after a while it feels like a chore. And in this regard specifically, I would like if Hive Lord was a modifier where it maybe has like 25% to spawn in a mission, 25% chance to spawn in a mission instead of 100%. When I was on Hellmire a few days ago, it was guaranteed a fucking Hive Lord every single mission. It becomes chore after a while, and it gets annoying.
You have some,
especially because to deal with Hive Lords, you need to bring very specific equipment, which is the strafing run, a mech, or the orbital gatling, or the spear, rocket launchers. I tried using the anti-tank emplacement, but the anti-tank emplacement gets instantly destroyed by the Hive Lord's bile attack because it deals so much damage. It's good when the Hive Lord is aggroed onto someone else. You can do significant damage to it, but after bringing the anti-tank emplacement, I'm not advising you to bring the anti-tank emplacement against Hive Lords. Nope.
Actionable solutions. First and foremost, learn from your mistakes. Don't just repeat them over and over again in reference to the bunker turret fiasco that still happens today and is still in full effect on War Striders. Give enemies meaningful weak spots. You're still not learning from that, even though automatons are growing to be the most adored faction. Folks still love the bugs.
Yeah, automatons are probably the best designed faction so far, aside for all the ragdolling fiasco he was just talking about. The bunker turrets and the War Striders are currently the worst enemy types because they have no weak spot, they have a lot of range, and they ragdoll you. Yes, the bunker turrets, unlike the unlike the anti-air turrets and the mortars, they are covered in AV4 all over, so you cannot, or AV5 even, you cannot deal with them with your primaries, as of where other things you could.
Sure, but in terms of having a good time playing the game, I feel as though people are leaning towards automatons. The bugs just have a special place in their heart because of Starship Troopers, but not so much the gameplay being riveting in many cases. There's two reasons why players are enjoying automatons more. They have meaningful break.
Look at that, 3 factory Striders, and you fucking calls down a fucking solo silo and
cases. There's two reasons why players are enjoying automatons more. They have meaningful breakpoints and weak points. This opens the door for so much more impactful variety of your loadouts that just means the game can be enjoyed in far more ways. The exception, of course, is War Striders, but aside from that, it's a pretty well-balanced faction. It would be in your best interest to stop focusing so much on difficulty and instead make the game more enjoyable. And especially stop trying to make it so you can't solo the highest difficulty. Because to do that properly, it requires levels of arbitrary difficulty that make your game unfun to play. Because in the current state, you can still solo the max difficulty. I've done it for every faction, even with the Hive Lords, Dragon Roaches, Rupture Strain, all at the same time. It's just not very fun. And that's the issue. When you make it to where people can't solo, you're likely going to affect everything else about the game to the point where it's no longer as fun to play. And for what? To say your game is more challenging? Oh, our players have a hard time beating max difficulty. You can do that, but in a more meaningful way. It does not take any skill or actual effort to just crank a slider and make the game unfun to play, and thus more difficult. Focus on making the game for the millions of folks that bought it to have a good time playing. Difficult. Focus and make the game unfun to play, and thus more difficult. Focus on making the game for the millions of folks that bought it to have a good time playing it, and not your current target audience of yes men that have nothing but positive words to say about everything you do. Because are they really helping you? Look at where you always end up, which is needing to backtrack on the things you've been doing. You should not need a 60-day plan every 180 days. You are taking advice from people that do not know what's good for the game, and it shows. Helldivers 2.
I really wonder if they're taking advice at all, or if they just don't give a shit and do whatever the fuck, because like they should be taking advice from him, from me, who play the game and know what fun and engaging is. The best people you can take advantage from are the content creators that know what they're talking about, okay? That play on higher difficulties constantly, that try different loadouts, different weapons, that try making things that are bad work, because that's how you figure out the balance of something. You try to make something work. If it doesn't work, you come up with solutions to make it work.
Is one of a kind, so iconic in many different aspects. But you guys are making it into a game that folks didn't buy. If you had your way initially, if the game turned out to be exactly as you wanted it and there was no game-breaking glitches, I do not believe you'd be as successful. Because the glitches added power fantasy that you were not intentionally putting into you'd be as successful.
Oh, he got killed by the bleeding in the mech. He didn't notice he was bleeding and he died of that. Oh my god, that must have been so frustrating. He just called on a flag and he was rocking that fucking emancipator. Oh my god.
Because the glitches added power fantasy that you were not in.
Wait, how did
I do not believe you'd be as successful. Because the glitches
because he looks like he got out of the okay, I think he got out of the emancipator to try and go to the flag to activate the terminal, but then he got instantly hit by a bug and the bleeding did the rest.
Breaking glitches.
By the way, yes, if you look at his health, this is the bleeding bug, where he does, as you can see, he doesn't have any bleeding status on himself, but the bleeding dot is still applying on his health because this game is shitty, and the devs don't even know what they're doing.
I do not believe you'd be as successful because the glitches added power fantasy that you were not intentionally putting into the game itself. And it turns out that when folks can't kill things
Did he have the bleeding?
Do not
when he got into the
turned
map?
out to be exactly as didn't buy. If you had your way initially,
No, he didn't.
the game
but probably the bleeding got reapplied after he got out of the mech, because even though you have the dot active, bleeding can get reapplied on you. Okay, I don't know if that increases the DPS of the bleed or not, but the bleeding he got a second time. You can see the icon.
Turned out to be
it was probably applied by a bug
exactly as
attacking him.
you wanted it, and there was no game-breaking glitches. I do not believe you'd be as successful because the glitches.
Yeah, see the icon. He leaves the emancipator and instantly takes a very big hit of damage. I don't know why. Oh yeah, see there's a bug. There's a warrior clawing, and it instantly hits him as he gets out. He gets bleeding reapplied on him, and he then dies by the dot that was already on him. But he wouldn't have died as you can see, if he didn't take this damage initially.
Glitches. I do not believe you'd be as successful because the glitches added power fantasy that you were not intentionally putting into the game itself.
Yeah, it's so funny that things that were not intended made the game more fun. Okay, bugs, glitches, other things that caused problems for them, like it caused problems for the developers, actually indirectly made the game more fun and engaging. That's peak funny to me. What the fuck?
It turns out that when folks can't kill things in a decent time frame, they don't have fun. So recognize that and focus on what makes the game so good. If I can better explain that if you need. I want this game to be as good as it can. In the same way, I wanted Dauntless to be as good as it could before it got shut down. That's a really interesting take. This said the employee for Phoenix Labs. It's a hard one to balance because the wow with the F moments don't necessarily make a healthy, balanced game. It's a PvE game, dog. The game ain't gonna be no one cares about balance if it's dead. Your game's doing great.
Yeah, it's a PvE. Like if it was PvP, I would get it. But PvE, you can close an eye on some things.
But you don't pile drive it 6 feet deep to target the weirdest people because they don't even really exist. They might sit there and put on some facade, saying to themselves, or saying that they say not to themselves, but to the people on the internet because they're trying to fit in. Yeah, man, this is actually really sick. Just get better, bro. Skill issue.
I don't know what
the game's becoming slower for no reason. Skill issue. So who is the game being made for? The audience they talk about targeting doesn't really exist. They wouldn't be able to keep the game alive if that's really who you're going after. Because even in Helldivers 1, there was still power fantasy. In Helldivers 2, there is kind of, but you're just making these changes to reduce the pace of the gameplay to a point that it's no longer really intense in a meaningful fashion. It just becomes boring. And I believe the player base who sit there and excuse every little thing are a major problem, if not the cause, for why Helldivers 2 does not feel as fun as it should. I get you expect more, get less, but the game's pretty good at the moment. The game being better than it was doesn't make it necessarily like amazing. That's a...
I'm not gonna... the only thing I'm gonna say about this thing in the survey he typed is this about hunters, the last line about hunters. It's so stupid that hunters' limbs can absorb so much damage. For example, if you shoot a dominator to a hunter, his leg, the hunter's leg, can completely absorb the damage, and the hunter survives. This will not happen if our shots had over penetration. Okay. So some weapons have over penetration, but some don't. Like you can over penetrate things like wheelbars, but like you cannot over penetrate the leg of a hunter. If the shot actually passed through the leg and then hit the body, the hunter would be dead. But no. And here he tried to suggest a solution here by dealing enough damage to the hunter leg, the hunter just dies. Like if the damage is more than 140, in this case 275 with the dominator, the hunter just dies.
Folks don't get.
That'd be healthy, but nope, it doesn't happen because fuck you, I guess. It's a horde shooter. You don't get overpen.
Like I'm basing the game off of what it could be and like what I guess it should be. Other folks are basing it off of, is it better than it was? Okay, cool. It's good, guys. We can stop improving it now. Meanwhile, the game wants feedback. So what's more impactful? The person who says the game's fine as is, or the person who says the game's good, but it could be better? It's rather unfortunate. No matter how bright I draw the picture, there'll still be Krilla crashouts that can't comprehend it. I use examples. I did everything. I've maintained this same stance for a year and a half. But hey, I'm a rage baiter. I got a skill issue. Insert random nonsense. I do want to close with a review I wrote a long time ago that I'm now going to be using again, essentially. One of the biggest fumbles...
I've also left a negative review on this game. I didn't really type anything. I just said that the game is great, but the developers are shit. And that's still the case. I'm not going to change my mind until they show me that I should change my mind.
In gaming history. I can't tell if it's incompetence, ego, or intentional self-sabotage to save...
Ego and incompetence. Both of them. I can guarantee you, though. Ego, probably, for the most part. Incompetence, to a lesser extent, but ego on the most part.
On server fees. The writing was on the wall ever since patch 0.100, where they tried to adjust any AI thinking players wouldn't notice, while also increasing headshot damage players take. Fun isn't a word Arrowhead is familiar with. and instead they're dead set on making a game catered to a core audience of Muppets and yes men. They want players without critical thought or an understanding of the game because those are the only people who can attempt to appreciate the dumpster fire of a game that Arrowhead has created out of Helldivers 2. It wasn't a honeymoon phase or anything like that. It was the intentional changes made by Arrowhead, which to this day make no sense. I did get a lot of enjoyable gameplay out of the game, but there's no excuse for the caricature of a game that Helldivers 2 parades itself around as now. The community is an army of glazy gladiators actually, with Stockholm Syndrome, ready and willing to glaze the game at a moment's notice regardless of what's happening. The majority don't comprehend basic mechanics or simple math. They think that facts are opinions, and these are the folks devs take advice from. The game isn't enjoyable anymore. It's not too difficult, it's just not rewarding or engaging. It's simply a waste of my time when I'm spending upwards of an hour trying to find something I could enjoy. Missions are like 40 minutes sometimes. All the devs know is arbitrary difficulty, and I don't see that really changing. It's a horde shooter that plays like a tactical shooter with hordes of enemies. Just another game to add to a growing list of what could have been if folks who had a semblance of...
Helldivers 2 has so much potential, you guys have no idea. The amount of things this game could accomplish, if they only would realize it. This game could be so much more fun. Oh my god, I almost feel like I feel sad about this because I love this game genuinely and I want it to improve and I can't do shit about it. I can make as many videos as I want. Dough can make as many videos as he want. He can rant into the Arrowhead's Discord or wherever the fuck they invited him, but they won't. If they don't listen, what's the fucking point?
...of a clue we're running the show. This was made, I believe, more than a year and a half ago. This review. That's why it says previous review. But hey, I don't know what I'm talking about.
We don't know what we're talking about though. How long was that?
Yeah.
2 hours.
I wish that were true. Anywho, thanks for watching and have a good day.
I've been here yapping for 2 hours. Anywho, thanks for watching and have a good day. My throat hurts.